Road, Waterford.
Live from Waterford and Dungarvan, this is Waterford at 1 News.
This afternoon's headlines reports that Iconic Newspapers is in advanced talks to buy the Munster Express paper in Waterford. A man's been arrested following searches today by the Criminal Assets Bureau in Waterford City, and Waterford Council says it will not remove family members of travellers at a city halting site. In sport, Fergal O'Brien has been appointed as manager of the Waterford Senior Camogie team. Good afternoon, I'm Karen Tompkins, now for the news in detail. It's been reported today that Iconic Newspapers, the publishing group that owns about 20 Irish regional newspapers, is in advanced talks to buy the Munster Express paper in Waterford. The Irish Times says that the Walsh family, who own the Munster, have been in talks about a sale to Iconic, and both sides appear to be close to an agreement. Liz Reddy reports.
The deal would be the latest Irish expansion move in the regional newspaper sector by Iconic. This month they received approval from competition regulators to buy the Midland Tribune and Tullamore Tribune titles. Conditions were attached due to Iconic's status as a sister business to their owner, Mr Denmark's Media Force advertising agency. Their clients include government agencies that place ads in regional papers. In order to allay concerns at the Competition and Consumer Protection Commission that Media Force could direct advertising revenues towards its owners' newspapers at the expense of competing titles, the company gave specific undertakings to avoid any favouritism. The Irish Times reports that it's expected similar issues may arise in any Iconic deal for the Munster Express.
A man in his 30s has been arrested after a Criminal Assets Bureau raid in Waterford. CAB were assisted by the Regional Armed Response Unit, Waterford District Detective Office and the Revenue Customs Office Dog Unit. The man's currently being detained under Section 4 of the Criminal Justice Act at Waterford Garda Station. The items seized included a 191 Volkswagen Arteon, a 151 Volkswagen Passat, approximately €1,000 in cash, a quantity of cocaine, herbal cannabis and MDMA. This morning's search operation has been described as a significant development in an ongoing investigation targeting assets deriving from the proceeds of crime in the Waterford area. Separately, 4 people were arrested following 3 searches by the drugs unit in Waterford yesterday. This is part of the ongoing operation against drugs in the city. Local units, along with the local divisional drugs unit, carried out a search in Templars Hall, where €30,000 worth of cocaine and cannabis herb worth €6,000 were seized. In Lisduggan, €2,700 of cannabis herb was seized, while in Manor Street, Gardaí found MDMA worth €1,300. The drug seizures were not connected. In all, 4 people were arrested. 3 have been released, with further arrests to be made, and files have been submitted to the Director of Public Prosecutions. The Taoiseach will deliver an apology in the Dáil this afternoon to the women and families affected by the cervical check scandal. Almost 80 women with cervical cancer are travelling to Leinster House for today's formal apology by Leo Varadkar. He will tell them that the state should have informed women they were given incorrect results. Professor of Health Systems at the School of Nursing in DCU, Anthony Staines, says there appears to be some effort being made to change the culture at the HSE in the wake of the controversy.
I think there's things moving. Whether the whole culture of HSE is shifting or not is a different question. I think it is beginning to shift. I think the Chief Executive, Paul Reid, has taken a huge lead on exactly this. I'm not sure how far the board are behind him, how far they're backing him in making these changes happen.
The Dáil's Business Committee is due to meet around now to discuss the VoteGate controversy. Fine Gael TDs want Fianna Fáil's Niall Collins, Timmy Dooley and Lisa Chambers to give statements to the Dáil on false voting in the chamber. The Ceann Comhairle has launched an investigation after votes were cast for TDs who were not present. Sinn Féin leader Mary Lou MacDonald says it raises some serious questions.
We have found one situation where multiple votes were cast on behalf of a deputy who was not present, and that raises the obvious question: was this a one-off? Is this a pattern of behaviour? And then that raises questions around the results of votes, and I think that's really, really serious.
A woman has gone on trial accused of murdering her daughter in Dublin. The woman, who cannot be named to protect the child's identity, has pleaded not guilty by reason of insanity. Our courts correspondent Frank Graney has this report, which some listeners may find distressing.
In his opening address, prosecuting barrister Paul Murray told the jury that 2 childcare workers raised concerns with the mother about her child's behaviour in preschool and Montessori. Both felt she was showing some signs for autism, and so she decided to have her daughter properly assessed. While that assessment was ongoing, the jurors were told that she began doing her own research and became convinced that her toddler daughter had a condition called pathological demand avoidance. The actual final report of the assessment hadn't yet come out 9 days later, when emergency services received a call from the accused to say she'd suffocated her with a pillow. The jurors are due to hear from 2 clinical psychologists who will claim she was suffering from a mental disorder at the time, but it will ultimately be left to the jury to decide whether the special verdict applies in this case. Frank Graney, the Central Criminal Court.
Waterford Council says it will not remove family members of travellers at a city halting site. It comes after councillors objected to new accommodation at Carrickferris, citing a lack of enforcement on people setting up new caravans around the grounds. The local authority had brought plans to build 7 new accommodation bays. However, these will now not go ahead. Fine Gael's John Cummins said he would support the proposal if newly arrived travellers can be removed from the site. Senior planner Joe Sullivan insisted that the council cannot do that.
When this is provided, that if there is a caravan that pulls up on the Carrickferris road, that it will be removed within the statutory process and removed within the specific time period. I think I'm right in saying it is 72 hours.
We're doing that every week for caravans that are not linked to an area,
but you're
to
not
housing.
Doing it up here.
No, because they're because the family are living there. The children of the people in the houses. It's completely different.
I'm trying to help you here.
Concerns have been expressed over the impact that exploring the potential for a wind farm along the Waterford coast could have. Trudy McIntyre, who represents inshore fishermen in Waterford, says Energia are investigating the possibility of building a wind farm 5 kilometres from the shore off the Waterford coast. Speaking to Damien Tiernan on Daisha today, she said this could have an impact on fishermen in the area.
These investigation sites were typically going to be happening within areas that inshore fishermen are fishing. These fishermen, for the duration of these works or planned works, would be displaced. And what that would mean is they will have nowhere else to go fish. So they won't be able to fish where they've been fishing for years, probably generations. For the duration of the exploratory work, they will need the room for doing their investigations into the seabed. From what I can gather, they'll be doing boreholes. So we don't know what damage that's going to do to the seabed or for juvenile lobsters.
And a sports medicine roadshow is taking place at the WIT Arena tomorrow. The free roadshow, which is the first of its kind in Ireland, is being organised by Waterford-based UPMC Whitfield Hospital. It's aimed at physiotherapists, GPs, sports therapists, players and coaches. Consultant orthopaedic surgeon at UPMC Whitfield Hospital is Patrick Carton. He explains what will be on offer tomorrow evening.
We have 50 speakers over the duration of the conference. There'll be certain areas we'll be talking on sports injuries, in particular with regards to the ankle, the knee. There's a long session on hip and groin and chronic injuries. We also have players who have gone through chronic sports injury, who've gone through treatment, both conservative and surgical treatment, and they're there to talk about their experience and how it's affected both their career, how it's affected them physically and emotionally, because an awful lot of these chronic injuries have a big emotional toll. We're also talking about concussion. We have some of the experts in Ireland on concussion.
WLR Sport.
Sorry, first of all, Gaelic Games. And Fergal O'Brien has been appointed as manager of the Waterford senior camogie team. Fergal worked as the Daisha senior hurlers physical coach from 2014 to 2018. He takes over from Donal O'Rourke, who stepped down after 2 years. Fergal says the game is on a real high here in Waterford, and it's down to the exploits of the top class players who've played for the county in recent seasons.
I think camogie in general, especially in Waterford, it's on a bit of a high at the moment. I think I was talking to the chairperson, she was telling me the numbers are excelling in all the different clubs, becoming very popular, and I think that's a great tribute to the likes of Patricia Jackman, Carton, Eve Rocket, Lorraine Bray, these girls that you mentioned. They're the ones at the end of the day that are driving the game forward and bringing it to new heights.
Elsewhere, new Cork hurling manager Kieran Kingston is set to make more additions to his backroom team. It's reported that Pat Mulcahy will join the setup as a selector, with former Clare goalkeeping coach Christy O'Connor coming in as a coach alongside Ger Cunningham and Diarmuid O'Sullivan. In soccer, Mauricio Pochettino thinks Tottenham have been their own worst enemy after a difficult start to the season. They've won just 3 of their Premier League fixtures. They're third in their Champions League group going into tonight's game against Red Star Belgrade. Pochettino says they need to sort out their own problems.
In this type of period, our worst opponent are ourselves, and of course we need to compete not only with Red Star, if not with ourselves, to try to build our confidence and of course to be solid and performance in the way that we wanted to performance.
Elsewhere, Manchester City look to make it 3 wins from 3 when they take on Atalanta in Group C. Both those games tonight kick off at 8 o'clock. Finally, to rugby, and England rugby coach Eddie Jones says somebody's been spying on their training session as the build-up continues to Saturday's World Cup semi-final against New Zealand in Japan. Nigel Owens will referee the game in Yokohama on Saturday. That's the latest on WLR. Our next bulletin here is at 2.